All right, gang. So today we're going to do two things. We're going to have two themes, and two themes means we're going to keep touching back on both topics for another week or two. But today we're going to work on a little bit of mobility.
Okay.
And mobility is similar to stretching, but a stretch you hold for a period of time, and you're trying to either increase the length of a muscle, or you're trying to improve that muscle's ability to tolerate a stretch. So we do a common stretch where we lift up our elbow and we hold it back there. And then after time, it becomes easier. Mobility is a little bit different because now you're also working on the strength, the ability to move your arm. So if we think of a stretch would be, okay, I'm lifting and holding my elbow there. And now mobility is I'm strong enough and flexible enough to pull that arm up and back down. Does that make sense to everybody?
Mm-hmm.
That
Sure.
difference?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So, and that's an important distinction because you might be able to be really good at a stretch. For example, if you're seated, touching your toes, but then as soon as it becomes a mobility, you might not have the strength to be able to move that joint into that position. So both are very, very important. And mobility is just a bit more functional. It applies a little bit more to your day-to-day. Now, the key thing we're going to talk about with mobility today, and we've done a little bit of it, right? We've talked about the movement of your feet and toes, and that has to do with a bit of mobility. Today, we're going to talk about your thoracic spine. Now, that's a fancy word for the middle of your back, the upper middle. So think about kind of between your shoulder blades is your thoracic spine. And what's important about your thoracic spine, especially as it applies to someone with a lung issue, is that is where your ribs attach into. That's the part of your spine that your ribs attach to. So when your thoracic spine is tight, then your rib cage is a little bit limited in how well it can open up as you breathe in. Okay. And another thing that can happen there is a tight thoracic spine. That can lead to some neck soreness. It can lead to some lower back soreness. Because has anyone seen a picture of your spine?
Yeah.
Just a drawing of it. So we've got that little bit of an S curve. Well, now you can probably see what happens. Make sure you can all see me. Well, as soon as our back tightens up, well, now our lower back has to round, and I'm exaggerating. Your lower back has to round and your neck might have to push forward to compensate rather than being up tall and everything being in that normal S shape. Okay. And we'll talk about posture another day. That's another key important thing. But how do we get that thoracic spine moving so that it helps open up and lets your rib cage open so that you can more easily take a breath in?
Oh,
That's going to be our key focus today.
good.
So you picked a great session to pop onto today. All right.
As always.
As always.
Yes.
Thank you. That's wonderful. Now, to keep it simple, there are 3 movements that your spine is capable of. So if I turn to the side, your upper back is capable of flexing. And you're welcome to do this a little bit with me. Just as we're doing all the exercises today, make sure you're just checking in with your body, going slow through movements so that if something doesn't feel right, you can adjust. Okay. But your spine is capable of flexing. It's capable of extending. So that's where we get into that bit of an arch. And this is where a lot of people have tightness and have struggles to get into This movement is tough. So kind of test it out for yourself, right? Are you able to arch that upper back? How challenging for you is it to pull that chest forward and pull your shoulders back? Who feels tightness there when they do that movement?
I do.
I do.
Oh, I do too, I think.
I do.
Yep, for sure. And if I'm being honest, that's something I have to continuously work on too. And if I've got a day where I'm doing a lot of paperwork, oh boy, is that tight,
Oh, yeah.
right? So a couple of things are happening there. If we're sitting for a period of time, we naturally relax that posture.
Yeah.
So we get that little bit of a slump through our shoulders and our upper back.
Mhm.
That just happens naturally. It takes a lot of effort to, okay, maintain stiff, upright posture. Okay. Another thing that happens is if you've got a sore shoulder or neck, or if you tend to be in pain, or when you're struggling to breathe, our body tends to guard. So when we enter into that kind of guarding position, you tuck in and you hunch in.
Mm.
Okay, so that can cause some tightness in that upper back as well. So again, it's important to open up, because the more we're in that position, actually our bodies are funny sometimes, where our bodies will compensate for certain things, and it ends up just bringing on more discomfort sometimes. Think of a limp. If you've ever had to limp, well, your body's limping to compensate, but boy, does that limp kind of make your back get sore, your hip, or it causes additional problems. So it's important that we keep working on those things.
Mhm.
So we talked about flexing, we talked about extending the spine. The other thing that your spine can do is rotate, okay? And that's something you want to be cautious of, because some of you struggle with a bit of degeneration or wear and tear in your spine. I know a couple of you either have arthritis or issues with your disc. So those movements, it's important to work on those movements within your capacity. And that phrase is super, super key. So you got to be making sure, again, that we're going slowly and with control through all our movements. And rotation is one of those tricky ones, because it can go wrong if not done right. Okay, but it is something your spine needs to do, that upper back needs to do. So if everyone just takes their hand and reaches it across their body. Now, super key, the first thing before I turn my shoulders is I'm gonna pretend there's a string at the top of my head pulling my body up. So I'm nice and tall. And then I'm just gonna slowly turn towards my hand. And again, I'm going slow, I'm going within my own capacity. If that movement is really, really small, great, that's no problem. And then I'm gonna slowly turn back, take my other hand, reach across to the other side. Again, that first thing is pulling up and slowly rotating to the side. Okay, so that's an example of rotation. Now, the reason I got you to sit up tall is because the position where that puts the most amount of pressure or force through your spine is a flexed back that then rotates.
Mm.
This is why we get so many sore backs from shoveling snow, right? Where you're bent over and now you're trying to rotate. We get lots of people getting sore backs from that movement. We've had people kind of tweak their back from unloading the dishwasher. But again, they were bent over and then they kind of went to turn and they weren't in a good position. Okay, so having that understanding of what your back is capable of and of what you have to be cautious of, I think gives you power and control in your day-to-day to keep yourself moving well. through all the activities you need to do. Okay, so we're gonna work on a little bit of that as well. Now, one of the key ways, let's start to get your upper back moving better. One of the key ways that we can work on that upper back indirectly is by getting your shoulders moving. Okay, so the bones that make up your shoulder complex, they attach into that upper back. So when one is tight, the other is tight. That's often how it works. So making sure my bench is against the wall, or I might go flying. Lean back in your chair. How often do you hear that, Tate? Lean back and relax. Now, we're going to go through 3 movements that start to get your spine moving. And if you've got a sore shoulder, these are actually really good movements for you. You might just find that sitting upright where we have to move our arm against gravity, if that's too much for your shoulder, then I would encourage you later today to try them laying down in bed, if that's a comfortable position for you, just because that's less work for the shoulder to do because you are no longer moving against gravity. So leaning back in your chair. We're going to start with that elbow at 90 degrees. So elbow bent. And we're going to lift up that hand, keeping that elbow in. That's super, super key, especially if you've got a sore shoulder, is don't let that elbow wing out. Keep it tucked in. And you're just going to touch behind you and then bring it back down. And then you're going to switch hands. So you're reaching one arm up, touch behind you, and bring it back down. I like to call this the slicking your hair back.
Yeah.
That's right, bringing you memories of the gel days.
Brill cream.
That's right.
A little dabble, do you?
Yeah.
Now, gang, if this bent elbow feels good, you can try extending your arm straight up behind you. Again, just move slow and controlled. And keeping that elbow bent is also a really great option. Now, as we get this shoulder moving, I want you to let your chest pull forward slightly. So I'm lifting that arm and I'm letting the chest come forward slightly as I lift up and back down. There we go. So reaching up, let the chest come forward and come down. A couple of things you might feel. You might feel a little bit of tightness in your armpit. And boy, that's always a funny one for people to feel. But you've got some muscles attached in there that are responsible for curling that shoulder in. And so this movement where we're extending them, you're just feeling those muscles stretch. You've also got your big muscle called your lat, your latissimus dorsi that you might have heard of. Maybe you've been to a gym and you've tried a lat pull down machine. But that muscle's also getting stretched. All right, does everyone feel like they're able to pull their chest forward as they reach that arm up?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Does anyone feel like they're able to reach up and back a little bit further than they were at the start? Or if it doesn't feel as challenging to do from a tightness perspective?
Yeah, it's better now.
Yeah, good.
I feel a click in the back when I bring the arm down.
Does it hurt?
No.
Did you
Just
have
like-
did you injure that shoulder at some point?
Nope.
An old injury? No? Is it your right arm and are you right-handed
No, it's either one.
on both of them?
Yeah.
Yeah. So as long as there's no pain, that little bit of crunchiness or the little bit of clicking, that's quite normal.
Oh.
That can be due to some tightness.
Oh, okay.
The only thing I'd ask is, are you keeping your elbow bent when you lift up?
Yep.
Okay, now just try pulling that elbow in a little bit more. So like fight to keep that elbow tucked in.
Oh, that's better.
You should find that helps a bit more.
Yes.
So that clicking, one, it can be from an old injury, like my shoulder crunches as I bring it back down. depending on the day, without pain. But that's just a little bit of old gunk in there, as I call it. But what can also be happening is the muscle is so tight that the tendon kind of snaps over.
Yeah. 'cause
Think of
with
an elastic band pulled too tight.
Yeah, with either elbow in, then there's no clunk at all.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
And that's just because we've changed the movement of how your arm is moving. And now with that elbow pulled in tight, we've told, if you guys have heard of your rotator cuff, those are some key little muscles in your shoulder. Now those muscles are engaged to keep your shoulder stable. So now the bigger muscles that are a bit too tight, they don't have to try to do their job, so they're not snapping over.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Jill,
Yeah.
I've got an old ski injury on my right shoulder. And
Okay.
it tends to be almost like a frozen shoulder. So when I'm going like this, I can only get the movement like that. With my left arm, I can
Yep.
keep it in and of course
Yep.
go right back. So I
Yep.
don't know what.
So Connie, wait one moment, because I'm gonna come back to you on that in
Thank
2
you.
seconds. I just want everybody to now try reaching across their body, just like you're patting yourself on the back. Okay. So Connie, shoulders that kind of lock up like that, it's important to get them moving, just to get blood flow there. But you got to move in the range that you don't feel pain. So you again, that same thing with you is you would want to really pull that elbow in as you reach up. And don't go too far. And you'd probably find it easier to do laying on your back.
Okay.
Because now those muscles aren't fighting against gravity.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. And what you can try to actually hold that thought, because I'll get everybody doing that in a couple minutes.
Okay.
And I'll remind
Thank
you. So when I tell you to grab a cloth, that's your cue that you started this.
Okay.
Okay. Perfect.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Of course, of course. So everyone's reaching across their body. And what I'd encourage you to do is kind of get your shoulders gently moving as well, if that feels comfortable for you. So again, this is adding in a little bit of gentle rotation to your upper back as we get that shoulder moving. Is anyone feeling any tightness
Yes.
or sharpness at the front of their shoulder when they move it across?
Yes.
Okay, and it so does it kind of feel like it's locking or being pinched?
No, it's pain when I fully reach the hand behind the shoulder.
Yeah, and that pain's kind of right at that front of the
That's
shoulder.
right. Yeah.
Okay, so what I want you to try now is, instead of reaching up and across, reach more across your body. So now my arm is kind of staying chest level rather than coming up.
Yeah. No pain there.
Good. Yep. So just start at that level where you're just reaching across kind of more at chest level, because then we're still getting that little bit of rotation, but now that sore tendon isn't being pinched. All right. So now everybody, now we're going to work on that extension piece. And this is a movement. You're all going to go, oh, we know that movement, because we do it often with our breathing pattern. So your palms are facing up. And all we're going to do is we're going to pull your thumbs back behind you and let your chest come forward. Now, I want to show you, because some people get their arms pulling away from them, and I'm going to exaggerate the movement here, and I'm going to come right up to the camera. The movement that's happening is actually the elbow, and again, exaggerated movement. The elbow's coming forward as the hand goes back. So there's that rotation happening. Okay, so as we open up, those thumbs come back. My elbow stays in tight, it's not drifting away. Okay, and just go to where you might find it feels tight, right at the front of the shoulder or chest. You might feel some tightness from in the back of your shoulder. That's where those muscles are doing their job, okay? And as we often do with our breathing pattern, you're welcome to breathe in as you pull those thumbs out and breathe out as you bring those hands back in. So breathing in to pull those thumbs back, breathing out through pursed lips to bring those hands back in. Because that further helps those ribs open up and mobilize. Good. And again, that invisible string attached to your chest is pulling it forward as you pull those hands out. Excellent job, everybody. Good. How is that feeling? How far apart?
How far back are thumbs supposed to go?
You know, that's different for everybody, and it depends on mostly the tightness of your shoulders. So when my shoulders are having a tight day, my hands go back to here. Some people are able to get their arms way back. It just depends. If we're leaning back right against your chair or against the wall is a great place to be, because your goal can be to work towards touching your thumbs to the wall. Now, when I'm having
on one side.
What's that?
I can only do that on one side. The other side doesn't go that far.
Yes, and that's super normal to have one side tighter than the other. That can be just from you have your dominant hand, which is stronger. There's more muscle there because it does more work. Those muscles are tighter. It can be from an old injury. There's lots of different reasons, but it is normal to have one side be able to be less tight than the other. Now, guys, when I say that you can kind of make it your goal to touch your thumbs back, if you can't, you can't. And your goal is just to go to wherever you can tolerate and work within that range. If I'm having a bad shoulder day, I can't get my thumbs back to the wall. Some people can go no problem. They just touch back, they're like, oh, that's easy. And I go, well, that's great for you. I'm proud of you. But my shoulder can't do that today. So you really have to work within your range. Oh yeah.
Is there a way to loosen it?
Absolutely. So and that's part of what we're doing. All the stuff we've done so far, if you practice those movements, you get better at them. So when I say go to your range, okay, and I'm going to turn sideways for this so you can have a better visual. If my range is here, and if I go past there, it hurts. Okay, so this is my range. If I continuously work to the range where there is tightness, but no pain, and I practice in about a week, 2 weeks, I start noticing maybe even in one session, you'll notice, oh, I can go just a little bit further. And the movement with your arm here, it's sometimes more tough to figure out if you've gained that little bit of improvement until a big improvement happens. But one thing would be if you get close to the wall, or if you get chairs, or you go in a doorway, and now you're measuring. Okay, where's my range? This is my range, and then you stand in the doorway where your thumbs are just in line with the doorway, and you can kind of see where your feet line up. So have that objective measurement, something you can repeat and keep measuring. And after time you go, oh geez, my thumbs are now past the doorway. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
So that can be a good way to visualize it. But it's important that you don't just do the movement, right? If I just do this 20 times every day, I'm not going to improve, right? The purpose and intention in our mobility is just as important as the intention and purpose of all your other exercise. The effort you put in, the more effort you put in, the more benefit you get out of it. So instead of just moving the arms, if I'm really focused on, okay, breathe in, go to where it's tight. Yeah, it's tight there. Okay, now I'm going to breathe out and bring the hands back in. Okay, I'm going to do it again. Breathe in. Yep, that's where I'm tight. Okay, you purposefully going to that tightness. Well, after time, your body's going, okay, I need to get better at that. And now your tight spot has moved back. And sometimes, and that's where the objective measurement can be really helpful, because if you're always going to where it's tight, it sometimes feels like you haven't improved. You're going, wow, it still feels tight, but then you measure it, you look at it, you go, oh, geez, where it gets tight is further away. I'm able to move it further before it gets tight. Does that make sense to everybody?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Perfect. So again, having a spot where, okay, you're leaning on the wall and you're moving your arms back. You can even just look and go, okay, I'm about a hand's width away from the wall. Okay, and you know, after a week of practicing, oh, I'm like a couple fingers away from the wall. Or you can stand in the doorway, same thing, have that objective measurement. Okay.
Yep.
Now, you might need to shake out those arms after all that movement. Now, if you feel comfortable doing this next one, and if you don't, you can just keep repeating the first couple movements we've practiced. But I'm going to encourage you to grab a cloth.
What?
A cloth.
Like
Just
a
a
tea
dish-
towel or?
Yeah, a tea towel or
Okay.
a dish rag. You can grab an old t-shirt.
Over the stove, one that's hanging there. Cloth.
A paper towel works. And actually, because this just popped into my mind when we were talking about Connie's shoulder, I need to grab a cloth too. All right. So we've got our cloth.
Well, Connie's not back yet.
Oh no. Well, that's okay. When she comes back, I'll show her again. Oh, there she is.
English.
No, that's not Connie.
No,
Okay.
Eileen's back. Okay. Well, that's okay. I'll make sure she gets this. This will be good for all of you. And when we talk about extending that upper back. Now, we've got the cloth.
Okay.
If you've got a sore shoulder or neck where you do 2 of these and it doesn't feel good, then I'm going to show you an alternative. I've got the cloth and it's against the wall. And I promise I'm not just tricking you into washing your walls. Now, my right hand, I know. Your spouse paid me. Now, my right hand is on the cloth. So my right foot is going to take a step forward, and this step forward is going to push this hand up the wall, again, just to where you can tolerate, and then back down. So because we're pushing and sliding with the cloth, it's often a bit easier than just lifting your arm. Okay, so stepping forward with the same foot, step and slide, and then back. Step and slide, and back. Step and slide, and back. Step and slide. Now I'll show you, I don't have a wall sideways, and I have the camera perfected, so I don't want to change it. This is the movement from a side view of a step and slide. Okay, so again, that chest can come forward a little bit. We're stretching out that shoulder.
How big is the step?
Just a little step. Oh yeah, yeah, just that tiny little step. And that little step is just to give you some momentum. If you want to just stand and slide, that works too. But that little step does two things. It gives you the momentum and you get a little bit more of a stretch from the back of the leg up and then across to the moving arm, just with the way your muscles are connected. Now, for those of you that doesn't feel comfortable for shoulders or neck, or you're not comfortable standing and moving that arm up, what you can do, just at counter height, is, I'm going to use this box to show you. This will be great. Good thing I have so many boxes. And it's got to be about waist level, so we're not bent over. So I'm going to go to my knee. You were just going to push the cloth away on a counter or table and back.
Oh,
Okay. So again, your kitchen counter is about waist level.
Yeah.
This is too low. I don't want you bending over. So just push forward here and back. Push forward and back. Okay. So it's the same movement, just instead of going overhead, now you're kind of waist level.
You did
Okay.
talk to my wife, didn't you?
Got you washing walls, wiping tables. You're welcome. See, we can, it's called task stacking. We're doing your exercises and your house cleaning all in one. It's perfect. Now, Miss Connie, did you see the exercise?
Yes, I did, and I was against the wall. I should have turned my computer, but with my left arm, which is my good arm, I can go right up the wall. With my right arm, I can feel the movement, and I'm getting a little bit of higher every time.
Perfect. So that's
Good one
awesome.
for me to do. Thank
Yay! Woohoo! So that's a great example of mobility in action. So,
Yeah.
and it's important, again, because you're not feeling pain, but you're feeling some improvement, that bit of a stretch.
Yeah.
It's important to keep your joints moving in the range that they're capable of, because it gets blood flow there, right?
Right.
And you don't want that shoulder to
The
freeze.
joints, because
What's
of the
that,
blood.
David?
Exactly. No, sorry, I'm talking about, you were saying exactly what I've often said, is that I do twists and sort of to side to get the blood in all areas of my spine, you know?
Yep.
Looks after the discs.
Perfect.
oh,
Yeah, and again, moving within your capacity. If you've been told, you know, to be careful with certain movements for whatever reason, sometimes our bodies have limitations and we've got to listen to those limitations.
well, that's
But-
so much easier than to be lifting my arm on its own. It
Yes.
just goes up the wall just and nothing's left.
That's right. So
Yeah.
it gets that arm moving with less friction, because now those tendons that lift the shoulder up, and on some of you, those tendons get irritated, especially if they're fighting against tight muscles.
Yeah.
Well, geez, now your hand's on the cloth and it takes that out of the equation. So you're still getting that stretch and the mobility without that pressure or
Right.
too much work on the tendons.
What is hitting this here part of the back?
Pardon?
What hits this here part of the back? That's
Oh,
always
Clancy.
really sore.
That's what we're gonna look at next.
Okay.
That's a great segue. So
This
we've
here
been
part
working,
also-
yeah, and I'll show you how to do that. So we've been working, gang. How's everyone feeling, by the way? How's those shoulders and back feeling?
Good, yeah, better.
Pretty good.
Perfect.
So better too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did someone say that it's a little sore?
I did.
Okay, sore or tired?
No,
Sore.
Sore. And where is it sore?
Good.
Right in here.
It's good.
Gotta
In the
confess.
front?
Oh, so Carol's feeling good, but Miss Betty, you're feeling sore?
I feel sore right in the back behind the ribs.
Okay.
And always feel sore there. I don't
Always
know.
feels okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that muscle that behind the back ribs, it always hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you find you get into that forward position?
I'm not sure what you mean. Do I,
You know, where people kind of often think that they've got, you know, they'll say they have bad posture.
yeah, oh, you mean hunched over. I do because it eases the pain a little bit. So I do, yeah, I do that. I
Okay.
have so many ribs broken on that one side.
Oh,
Ever since then, I get that pain there. I don't know.
That
why.
too.
gotcha.
It'll hurt, but it does.
Yep. Yep. And that can be some, that can be similar to a little bit of inflammation or
Could be.
arthritis that could be happening. That could be some scar tissue that limits how the ribs move or just the way they healed.
Probably, yeah.
So a good thing to do. So these movements are actually be really good, Betty. You just want to be
Good.
cautious how much you do because you don't want it getting overly sore.
Yeah, that's good. Good stuff.
So think of it, let it get a bit tired because that means those muscles are working. That
Yeah.
little bit of soreness that goes away and
Mhm.
doesn't last is okay. So just be careful how many you're doing. And then Miss Janet, you were sore in the front of
I
your
feel
shoulder.
it in the front, like in this,
Yeah.
I think there's a bursa or something there.
Yeah, there's a bursa there and there's a couple tendons
Yeah.
that can get irritated. So again, that kind of more rolled forward position kind of pinches that tendon. Now it has to work harder. So all this lifting up can make it a bit sore.
Mm-hmm.
Were you feeling it mostly on the cloth?
I felt it there as well as this one, where you put your arm straight up.
Straight up. So
Mhm.
then for you, what I'd get you to do when you're just sitting, instead of going all the way up, is I'd keep your elbow bent and make sure that elbow's tucked in.
Okay,
Now,
good.
the next thing we're going to do, I'm going to check back in
Jill,
with you.
Jill, before you go on, mine is on the left shoulder by the shoulder blade where I had an old injury. That's where the stress goes in. And this is my first time back since surgery, so I'm only half doing things, but great to be back.
Oh, Raywin, it's so wonderful to have you.
Thanks.
Good. And you just really keep communicating with your body, right? Stay aware of what's going on
Okay.
and don't push past your capacity, okay?
Okay, thanks.
And I'm here for any questions.
Thank you. Just
Of
that left
course.
shoulder.
Yeah.
Just that left shoulder blade.
Did it feel okay with a little bit of the movements?
Yeah, it's okay at the moment, but it was kind of sore the other day and I haven't done anything, but it's all right today, yeah.
Okay, good. So those three and four movements actually should be really, really good for you.
Except
Again,
I don't have a spare wall to climb up. And
that's okay. Just
can't
those
walk.
first three are good then.
Yeah, and I can't walk and get the cloth just yet.
Oh, no, that's okay. So just the seated, those three movements that we practice, up, across, and open.
Okay, thanks.
Those are good, okay?
Yep.
Now, gang, and this will be really good, Janet.
Mhm.
You're going to take your hand. Now, you all know where your armpit is. Wow, that led to no jokes, Terry. What is going on? That was the softest, easiest serve I could have given you and nothing. All right. So you got your armpit, and I've turned to the side. Yeah, that's right. So you can see that crease. Okay. So that kind of crease, if you gently poke there, so I'm not in the armpit, I'm a little bit behind it. Is that sore?
Nope.
No.
No.
So I see a lot of
Sure is.
nods, and I see a couple people shaking their head no, and that's okay.
No,
No.
Nope.
Did
So
it
the only
be
thing
sore?
is make sure you're not up high. So if you've got
Uh-huh.
a short sleeve, there we go. So if you get, and there's a bone up higher, if you get underneath that and gently poke around.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what you're poking, mainly you're poking a fancy muscle called your subscapularis. And you're poking a little bit, your lat attaches in there too.
Yeah.
and your teres minor or major a little bit. Those muscles are responsible for rotating your arm in. So when that shoulder gets pulled in, those muscles are tightened. They're pulling that shoulder. So Janet, that pain here might be the tendon getting a bit irritated because it has to work super, super hard to lift up against that tight muscle.
Oh, okay.
Potentially. I'm not going to tell you that's what it is because I haven't been able to feel it or see a lot. So but that's sometimes what can happen. So we're going to spend a couple seconds here, gang, and you're going to gently massage at the back there. Now, another helpful thing, we get people who has a golf ball at home.
Me.
A couple of you, or a small ball about the size of a golf ball.
Yeah.
You can get a golf ball in there and then massage it around.
Oh, okay.
That for a sore shoulder is magical.
Is a dryer ball too big?
Yeah, dryer
Yeah.
balls, you want something really, the
Really
size of a
small,
golf
okay.
ball.
Okay.
Racket balls, you've got a really small dog toy
Dog tours, yeah.
or something, yeah, but it's got to be about the size of a golf ball.
Golf ball, okay.
Yeah, if you've got a tennis ball, you could get it against the wall and you could get it here and then put your back against the wall and gently massage it. It's a bit trickier because again, it's right under that bone.
How about a hacky sack?
Now, hacky sack's probably too soft
Okay.
because you want something that can provide the pressure. That's a really good thought though, Terry. Now switch arms. So there's a reason we're doing this. So I'm going to get you to do this and then I'm going to get you lifting up your arm again. And if you feel like, okay, this isn't tight, this is doing nothing for me, I wanted more movement today, then I encourage you just to pump your arms. Okay, so you do have that option. But for some of you, this is really, really important stuff. Okay, so make sure you've kind of given it a pretty good massage again. It should feel a little bit tender, a little bit sore when you're rubbing in there, but it shouldn't be painful, right? It shouldn't feel like, oh my goodness, that's the sorest thing I've ever felt. That's when you need to kind of back off a little bit more gentle. Okay. Now, once again, either bent elbow or straight arm, lift and compare it to how it felt.
It feels better.
Feels
You'll
better.
get a little click.
Yeah, it feels loosened up.
Yeah, and that was just 30 seconds of massage.
My head started heating up.
Your what, Clancy?
My head just started really heating up.
Oh,
Oh, did it?
Yeah, just peculiarity, you know.
Was it
yeah.
quite sore back there, Clancy?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, I could yelp when I hit it.
Okay, so
And
that's
it was
probably
right on the bone, right on the shoulder blade bone, as my fingers just go down it.
yeah.
The top of the bone hurts it.
So again, you got to be careful. You might have been feeling flush just because there was a lot of pain there.
Well,
So
then that's okay. That's I'm not concerned about it. It's just
Okay.
an oddity. Maybe someone else has that happen sometimes.
yeah, it can sometimes be that either that increased circulation from increased heart rate from the pain response. Sometimes it can be releasing that muscle allows more blood flow. And sometimes it's just that bit of, you sometimes get a bit of that endorphin rush of kind of, whoa, that's been so tight for so long and now it's been released. But just keep an eye on that for me, Clancy, okay?
It's gonna.
Has it
we're
gone
gonna feel
down?
quite a bit different. New bodies as we leave the class today.
There we go. There we go. Okay, gang. And Janet, does that feel better? Are you getting
yeah,
that same?
it feels a little looser.
Yeah. And are you getting that same kind of pain at the front of your shoulder?
Not so much,
Okay, good.
just a bit, just a bit.
Just a bit. Yeah. So again, don't push it. Don't do too much where it's that sharpness.
Mhm.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, gang, you're doing awesome. And I appreciate how patient a lot of you are being, because I know some of these education days are a lot more activity, and some days like today, it's a bit less. But there's always reasons why I do this kind of stuff for you. Okay. So get marching. Now, I think we can go 30 minutes over time and we're going to march the whole time.
What?
Beg your pardon?
Oh, good. You're all still breathing. I love it.
We were just checking.
It's helpful to check once in a while. There we go, team.
That was good.
So making sure we're keeping with that steady breathing pattern. Remember, the more limbs you're moving, the more oxygen is needed. So if you're having more of a breathless day or a lower energy day, well, just move just your arms, or you can move just your legs. Okay, go within whatever your capacity is. But we're going to get that heart rate up a little bit. There we go. Excellent job, team. Remember to breathe out through pursed lips. Maintain steady breathing. All right. Now, if you want to keep your feet moving, you can. Okay, just depends on how much energy you have. And we're just going to reach our arm across our body. So again, there's that little bit of mobility happening through our upper back as you reach across. But stay up tall and maintain your breathing. There we go, team. And I will be sure to write out those exercises and send them to you.
Thank you. That's great.
Excellent. All right. Now take your arms and pull them open wide and then bring them closed. Open them wide and bring them closed. Maintain your steady breathing pattern. I should have gotten a cloth under your foot so you could have cleaned the floors too.
Oh.
I'll save that for next week, maybe.
We'll invite you over, Jill.
You're gonna have to email me on what different chores you want to see me teach in class.
We'll get more benefit now out of running a dry cloth over our counter than we ever did before.
That's right. See benefits and benefits.
Well, this feels really, really nice.
Opening up the arms like this.
No, that's not my favorite, but like the whole center area of the back, upper back.
Oh, good. Yeah, your back overall feels
Like,
better.
this feels
Relax
quite
there again.
wonderful.
Good. We're stepping 1 foot forward at a time. Got to make sure we get some movement in today. Is anyone else feeling similar to Clancy? Do you feel like your upper back feels better
Yes.
or looser?
And my right arm feels looser too. I think
That's
the wall
awesome.
stretch did it.
Oh,
Good.
I'm gonna practice
Really, really
that
good.
one.
Perfect. Yeah, and check in with me each week. Let me know how it's going. How's everybody's breathing? The ability to take in that deep breath.
Short, very, very short lately.
Okay.
I think that's environmental.
Oh,
Well, yeah, I've been hearing from lots of people, the pollen is horrendous right now.
Yeah.
And they're cleaning the streets, so that's kicking up a lot of dust. Yeah, lots of stuff going on there.
I can move my ribs out. You showed us how further before. And I noticed when I was at the doctor's and said that on the lung test, it was like I couldn't quite get a full lung lift going, you know? And
Okay.
right away, she put her hands here on the ribs. And I said, yes, that's where Jill said, when that's tight, we can get trapped air. And I think that's what happened. And she really agreed with that. It was quite neat seeing the overlap from kinesiologist to the oncologist.
Awesome.
Yeah.
There you go. And that's a good feeling for you too.
Oh, yeah. Your education here, Jill, really does matter, you know.
Well, thank you. That's awesome. Now keep those feet still. You're going to reach across your body, your opposite knee, and you're just going to reach down to wherever you feel comfortable and then come back up. So again, be in control of the movement. Go to where you feel comfortable. And especially remember, for some of you, you can get quite breathless if you reach too far down. So really make sure we're moving from the hips. You're tightening those glutes to pull yourself back up. And we're keeping that chest up.
Liters of oxygen, I'm at 87 right
So you need to focus on your pursed lip breathing. Terry,
now.
you need to just stay still and focus on your pursed lip breathing, please. There we go, gang. You might feel a slight stretch in the outside of your hip as we do this.
It gives pain and grabs right there. And if there's any twist muscle there that could just really hurt for a long time.
So again, now just hinge forward just at the hips then. And everyone can actually get into this. So we've practiced, right? We hinge forward. So there's actually no movement at my back. It just feels like there's some tightness either in your glutes or at the back of your legs, those hamstrings.
Yeah.
So you kind of reach forward through your hips and then pull yourself back up by clenching your glutes. So again, if I turn to the side, it's that hinge movement. There's no movement through my back. And then I pull myself back up. And you're just going to wherever your capacity is.
Yeah, that's directly with the spine. It's quite good.
Yeah, perfect. So we keep it all stacked up and we're just moving from those hips. Did everyone just get an alert as well?
Yes.
155? Yeah, it's right on.
No action is required. This is a scheduled test of the British Columbia Emergency Alerting System issued by Emergency Management.
There's no emergency.
No emergency, just a test. There we go. Everybody stay calm.
Jill, the first phrase that she said was no action required.
I thought it was
good.
in my building. I'm in a high rise.
Oh, geez. So David's ready to stand up.
Oh,
Rest there, gang.
and we'll start running down.
You are
the
ready to
stairs.
go.
I think
Okay,
Terry
everybody.
set that up.
Oh, no.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Oh, geez. What have we done? We started the alert test.
That was a nationwide one I just read about in Castanet
Absolutely.
late last
So-
month, I think it was.
Quick review, because these are going to get sent out to you. there are 5 things I want you to practice. Number 1, reach up, keep that elbow tucked in. If you've got really good shoulders, you can reach up, straight arm. Remember, if you've got shoulder pain, especially at the front, you are welcome to do this either leaning back in a chair or on your bed, because the lower you are, the less gravity your muscles are working against. Number 2 is reaching across, as if you're patting yourself on the back. Remember, I encourage that slight little rotation with your shoulders as you reach, and remembering you can keep that hand chest level, because there's a couple of you where that up movement was pinching. So just reach across. Number 3 is palms up to the ceiling. Pull those thumbs back, let your chest come forward. And this is a great one to time your breathing to. And that breathing pattern is breathing in as you open up those arms, breathing out to bring those hands back in. There we go. And then that number 4 is just our sliding up the wall. So you don't feel like you have to do it right now. I'll just remind you what it looks like. And it's that small step with the same leg to push that hand up the wall and down.
Yeah.
Making sure you're doing it on both sides, even if you've got a sore shoulder and a not sore shoulder. It's just really good to get your back moving. And then number 5.
Just a minute, Jill, you
Over
missed
here.
the spot. Okay, that's good.
Perfect. And then number 5 is with your hand or a golf ball, just getting into that spot, kind of in the crease of where your arm bends. And poking around, gently massaging.
Yeah.
And again, be gentle with it. It's allowed to be a bit tender, a little bit sore, but it shouldn't be painful and it shouldn't be sore, right? There's that difference between, oh, that's a little sore, and ooh, that's sore. So gently massaging, and again, on both sides. Okay. Now, any last questions?
Thank you.
Of course, Carol.
That was very good.
Absolutely. I'll
Very
come
good,
Really
Jill.
good,
closer to
Jill.
the camera.
Very good session.
Very good.
Thanks very much, Jill.
Incredible.
Awesome.
Good.
Excellent.
Excellent, yes.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. No, I don't have to go to physio. I can stay home and do the exercises.
I feel younger.
And I was able to do them all easily.
That's awesome, Raywin.
Yeah, I know, it's magic.
Woohoo!
Thank you.
Well done. Good, and
have
the
one
goal is to
question.
always give benefit to you guys. So that's awesome. Yes, Karen? Was it Karen who had the question?
Is there anything is there anything that us with osteoporosis should be aware of in doing those exercises?
No, those are quite safe to do. Again, you just got to be aware of what you're doing. And if your body will tell you, if you're going slow and controlled, your body will tell you if something doesn't feel right. But these are all very low impact exercises.
Okay.
And they're unweighted.
Uh-huh.
So I don't have a safety concern with you doing any of them.
Did you say you're sending them
exercises
out?
Okay.
From you or BC Lung?
Thank you.
I will be sending them to Maureen and she will be sending them out.
Oh, great.
Thank you.
And it'll be sooner than those pesky toe exercises, I promise.